Good. For the second, yes. Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Tad Stone, the Director of Emergency Services for Indian River County. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'd like to give you an update as to where we are today, current actions that we've taken, and kind of bring everybody up to speed. Currently, the county is in a level 2 activation mode, which means we have all of the necessary emergency support functions here. They've been working together all day long, and they've been doing that for the past 3 days. We will go to a level 1 activation with everybody, all the necessary partners and all the necessary organizations in the room tomorrow morning starting at 8 o'clock. We will be opening our special needs shelter starting at 8 o'clock in the morning. And those people that are clients of special needs have already been notified. We've already scheduled their pickup times with local transportation. The regular shelters, general population shelters, will open tomorrow at noon. Those shelters have been pushed out to everybody and through a number of press releases that we currently have out there. We will continue. We will also have a pet-friendly shelter that will also be opening at the same time, noon tomorrow. All those transportation issues have been taken care of. We've had outside resources that have come in to give us a hand with some of the areas that we're working on. Specifically, our additional staffing for our special needs shelters. We've also requested some additional units for to give us a hand even after the storm hits us and we start going into the recovery phase. We're already starting to work on recovery and just now finishing up the response phase. The teams are working well. The operation has been very smooth for us so far. We're under a number of watches and warnings right now, and Major Flowers will go into that. He's acting as the public information officer for this event for the county. We're confident that if it maintains its current course and track, we'll be able to respond to those requests that we have. Hopefully we have an open public information line, and they'll be able to call that. Anybody can call that number at 772-226-4000. Okay, I'll turn it over to Major Flowers.
Thank you, sir. Just want to remind everybody to sign up for text alerts and to download the Indian River County app, Aware and Prepare. You can go to your app store, Google or Apple, and you can download that as Aware and Prepare. Go to the Indian River County website, ircgov.com, and make sure that you're signed up for text alerts. It's right there. The emergency management site is actually irces.com, and there's a link right on the front page there that you can get signed up. All of those alerts, the fact that we're under a hurricane warning right now has been pushed out through those sources, as well as social media and everything else that we're using, so make sure you stay up to date with that. Important information from law enforcement. I'm sure you've seen quite a few law enforcement here in Indian River County out on the streets. We activated our emergency plan yesterday, and we will continue to do that throughout the duration of the storm. We want to ensure that everybody knows that they're safe on the streets. They're safe when they're still out buying goods, if they're still out on the streets. But we want you to know that tomorrow, when these mandatory evacuations occur, that you can expect that at some point the bridges will close as a result of the winds coming into our county. We do expect that at some point tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening, that we will close the bridges. It will start with a one direction close. Once you come east off of, or come off of the bridge, that's it. You won't be able to go back over, and then as the winds continue to get and the conditions continue to deteriorate, we will eventually close that in both directions, and it will remain closed. Eventually we will pull first responders off the streets, assuming that the winds get up into the 50 to 70 mile an hour category. And at that point, we will advise everyone to stay off the street. So we will probably be here in front of you again, and we will continue to update you. So these broadcasts will be on the government channel, they'll be on social media, they'll be on Christian FM, and WQCS covers these as well. So stay tuned in, and we'll keep you updated as best we can. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Eric. I'm Jason Brown, County Administrator. I want to remind our residents to take Hurricane Dorian very seriously. It's a Category 5, very powerful storm. It can be tempting to look at those spaghetti models and that track and hope for that turn to the north. We anticipate that the hurricane will still be a major hurricane when it arrives along our coast. Do not let your guard down. This storm could cause significant storm surge and serious winds along the coastline. We have that mandatory evacuation in place that will occur at 8 a.m. tomorrow for the barrier island areas east of US 1, substandard housing, those who live in mobile homes and areas known to flood. We urge you to follow these evacuation orders. Dorian could cause dangerous conditions along the coast, along the Indian River Lagoon, and those low-lying areas. I want to remind you that first responders are in high-profile vehicles. Those have to come off the road once the winds reach a certain point. So at a certain point, if you have an emergency, we will not be able to come help you until the winds die down. Additionally, the county may shut off the water to the barrier island based on the conditions as we see tomorrow and going forward. If you need to evacuate, we ask you to do so now. You need to get to where you're going tomorrow as soon as you can. Would remind folks you don't have to evacuate hundreds of miles. You can evacuate locally a few miles with friends or family that are outside the evacuation area, and we have those shelters, those 6 shelters. You can find the location of those at irces.com, and please remember to go there, sign up for our web alerts. You can get those by text message, email, phone, however you would like to get them. Lastly, I would just ask our residents, we have some very smart residents in Indian River County. You know what to do. You've been through this before. We ask you to follow your plan and most of all, be safe. Thank you.
Do you have any concerns, or are you planning on doing anything to spread the word about evacuations? Or do you have concerns if there are people going to stay on the island?
We've been spreading the word. It's been a voluntary evacuation all day. We've put it out to the media several times. We've done multiple broadcasts on social media, and we're going to continue to push that out as best we can. There will be people who don't leave. Our greatest concern for them is that once those wind speeds reach a point where we pull first responders off the streets, if they have an emergency over there, we won't be able to respond to them. Certainly if the storm is bad enough, it could cause an emergency for them. It might not be something that happens internally. It might be something as a result of the storm, and we'll just have to wait until the storm is over. Anything else to add?
No, that's, one of our biggest concerns is with this hurricane remaining just offshore, and its projected track is actually the storm surge. Storm surge ends up killing more people through these events than anything else does. We're looking at some pretty significant, not only wave height, but it's supposed to be anywhere between 4 and 7 feet above standard land. So that may create some problems, especially for us to get in there and be able to do even after the storm passes. So once again, it's going to be a storm surge event if it stays offshore. Tropical storm event, maybe a category 1 event. We just don't want people to take any chances for this and think that, well, it's going to be 50, 75 miles offshore and it shouldn't be anything to worry about. It's going to be a significant event from a flooding standpoint and from a storm surge standpoint.
Is it possible that you would get like tropical storm winds, but larger hurricane force of storm surge?
We're expecting that, to be perfectly honest. We are expecting those tropical storm force winds. We're expecting gusts to be category 1 at least during the current projections. But once again, our biggest concern is that as that storm stays offshore and as it starts to move up, it's going to be pushing an awful lot of water off the ocean into the inlets, into the Sebastian River Inlet and the lagoons, and it may have even possibility of overtopping some dunes. So we just want to make sure that this is going to be a fairly significant, very wet, very significant event as far as the water push goes.
Eric, there's a large staging area of equipment that seems to be out by the airport.
Yes, sir. It's
What
over,
exactly is
over
it?
by the airport and over by Dodgertown. People know where that's at in town. FB&L has brought in quite a few crews, and they have a great staging area over there. We've posted photos of that to our social media as well, and people enjoy seeing those folks already here and ready to go. And we feel confident that FPL has really done everything that they can to be prepared in advance for the storm. We've got a great partnership with them. They were here yesterday. The CEO was here yesterday, and we're very excited that they're so helpful. We believe that as soon as the storm passes, they'll have the resources here ready to go. to get the power back on for folks.
And what is the biggest determinant for when bridges will be open again for people to return, or what is the process for that?
The bridges actually belong to the Florida Department of Transportation. They'll come by and do a quick survey of the bridges to make sure that they're passable. And when they go through that, they'll look at the expansion joints on the bridges to make sure that they haven't separated or moved any, make sure bridge alignments are good. And then they'll make a recommendation to us to say, in their general opinion, the bridges are safe to cross at this point. We really won't let anything except for maybe police cruisers or an ambulance go across those bridges until we actually get those inspections done and we feel safe that we can put the general public back on.
And then on our side, and the law enforcement side, we're gonna make sure that it's safe for people to go back over. If we make the turn, obviously we're looking for down trees, down power lines, anything like that on the other side, because we don't want people traversing on the island. If it's not safe for them over there, or if it's not ready, we don't wanna have issues with looting, we don't have issues with any problems over there. So when we make the determination to open it, based on the damage, we'll decide whether it's gonna be residents and business owners only, which could be a possibility if there's damage. Or it could be, in the past 2 years, both times we've just opened it to general traffic. So it depends on the damage, it depends on how things play out during the storm.
Anything else for us today? I'd like to thank all of you.
I do have a question.
Thank you.
With the bridges, when the bridges close or when they go to one-way traffic, is there gonna be an announcement, hey, we're gonna close the bridges at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock?
We don't set a time limit on that. It's based on weather conditions, and what we anticipate to happen in the short term. We can't give somebody a specific time that we're shutting the bridges down. It's gonna be based on the crews that are out there, our weather observations, and what we feel safe to be able to let people respond.
Based on everything we know at this point, we believe that we're gonna start to feel it here in Indian River County around 11 p.m. Monday. We will be here. I'm sure we will be up at this podium many times between now and when the storm passes, and we will come out, we will let you know, we will let the media know, and we will post all of that, so you will be well aware. When we make those determinations, you will know about it.
And again, those mandatory evacuation orders take place at 8 a.m. tomorrow. We will have the one-way traffic where you can still go westbound, because we're not going to keep someone from coming onto the mainland at 8:15 because they didn't complete their preparations in time, but there is going to be a certain point, and that will be based on conditions in the field. All right, thank you.